Glenda Hatchett is the host of the television show The Verdict with Judge Hatchett, and it is her daughter-in-law in that piece who died after that C-section at Cedars-Sinai Hospital. Her son, Charles, who sued the hospital for wrongful death. That case eventually settled, right, Judge Hatchett? Yeah, but not settling enough because, just listening to your son, you know, he was there. He was the advocate.
He was
for your daughter-in-law.
Yes.
He asked the questions, and he made the observations.
He did.
Yet, he and you as a family felt that you had the information to also share that there was negligent care happening here.
No question.
Kira wasn't getting the assistance that she wanted. But did you know that right away? You know, within hours, she would die after that C-section.
Right.
But, you know, did you see right in front of your faces what was happening?
Yeah.
But was it piecing together later, reflecting?
No, it was happening right then, Fred. Wow. I was there. Charles was there. Mm-hmm. Her mother. We were all there. Mm-hmm. And what happened is that Charles saw the blood in the catheter first, and started asking questions. Kira's aunt, who's like a second mother, is a nurse, and so she was there. I left the hospital after a point because I had the 19-month-old and we moved back to the condo. But what I was told before I left is that the doctor may have nicked her bladder and they would go in and repair it, and at most it would take 15 minutes, right? And so since we'd been there for so long with this little one, I left, and I carried so much guilt for years after that because I was like, if I had known, if I had been able to rely on what they told me. But all of what they told me was not true. She was internally bleeding. And when Charles said, when they went in, Fred, there were 3.5 liters of blood. She was a size 2 on a good day. I mean, and she was in great health.
Yeah, looking at those pictures, she's vibrant.
And she's
fit,
beautiful
amazing.
Inside and out. Marathon runner. She skydived. She had a pilot's license. I mean, she was a remarkable woman. And never, ever did I think that we'd walk into that hospital and never walk out without her. And I considered myself to be knowledgeable, but I did not know 7 years ago that this was not just unique to Kira. I knew that something was wrong. They didn't respond to her. There was a basis for a lawsuit. You know, I'm a mom, I'm a grandma, but I'm also a lawyer, so I had all of these things kind of coming together. But what I will tell you is that this is outrageous. And the numbers that we're seeing don't paint the full picture because every hospital is not required to report all of these statistics. I could not be happier now, that's not quite the right word, that the federal government has stepped in. But the real question is why has it taken 7 years?
Well, is it your family's experience that has helped to be the impetus of getting this in federal investigation or getting this kind of attention? Because for a very long time, just as you alluded to, there have been many testimonies and people who have said there is disparity in care, particularly as you talk about Black maternal health care. But now, following the settlement and your son's pursuit of justice with Cedars-Sinai Hospital, and now this federal probe, what is different here? What do you and how do you think your family's experience helped push this along?
Well, I think first of all, and I'll be to tell you, CNN was one of the first people that had me on the air right after she died, to tell the story and to get the story out there. And I think the fact that we've had the ability to have this kind of platform for the last 7 years has made a big difference. We've spent a lot of time in Washington. Charles has been all over the country lobbying. But this is the difference now. The federal government coming in is unprecedented. We have never seen the Civil Rights Division of HHS launch this kind of investigation. What does that mean? That means that they can then hold up federal funding to that hospital. And the reality is that sometimes it takes money to get people's attention. I'm insulted, frankly, that Cedars put out this statement, we're concerned. Well, what have you done? Well, we've given $2.2 million to different organizations. That is minuscule, it's not enough, and it hasn't been systemic change. But now that HHS has opened this investigation, it will not just mean that Cedars-Sinai will have to be held accountable, but hospitals all over this country.
And what does it mean to you that Cedars-Sinai, through our reporting with Stephanie Elam there, that the hospital says it has been resolved, but there is no admission that they did anything wrong.
And that was part, and all of that is sealed. But the truth is that she went in healthy. They botched it. She was butchered. The autopsy is very clear about that. And that she was allowed to hemorrhage, not for an hour or 2 hours, but for 10 hours before they got her back to the OR. She never left the recovery area, so they knew that something was wrong. But instead of getting her back,
your son was telling them,
yes,
something's wrong.
Something's wrong here. And they were giving her transfusions as opposed to, there was an MRI ordered stat at 6:30. It never happened, Fred. Had they done that, they would have seen that she was bleeding internally and her life would have been saved. It was negligence all the way. The other piece is that this was her second C-section. The cut time should have been anywhere from 12 to 15 minutes to go back in through the original scar. How long did it take?
What's the answer?
The answer, it was less than 4 minutes. He butchered her.
Wow.
He butchered her. And to have little boys say, well, why can't my mommy come home from heaven?
These are two little boys, Langston
and Charles V. And they are remarkable.
Who are now just 8 and 7.
Yes, so 7, yes, 7. Langston turned 7 because Kira's been gone now for 7 years in April. And it's taken us this long to get there. But we don't want any other families, friend, to experience the horrific pain that our family has gone through. Because there's no amount of money, no amount of settlement to get it back.
Yeah, it won't bring
But we
Kira
think
back.
that this is going to save other lives.
How's Charles doing?
He's doing great. He is strong. He is an advocate. He is in Washington. He's been in state capitals all over this country. He made it his point at her funeral to say we have to change our pain, turn our pain into purpose, and that's what he's done.
And you all are doing that. I mean, Judge Glenda Hatchett, so good to see you. I mean,
thank you.
Of course, not under these circumstances. I know when you told me about it back in 2016 that this had happened, but the details, of course, you know, weren't revealed at the time. But my heart goes out to all of you. But you have advocated for so many.
You've been so wonderful, and thank you for allowing me to come today, because I want people to understand what this really means. That this really is a turning point. This is, and so to the Biden administration, I have to say kudos to HHS. It took a long time, but we are at this point now, and this is going to be a major point that we can look back and we're going to see the tide turn.
We're wishing the best for you, the entire family, and of course, the health and welfare of all mothers, birthing mothers, and their children. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fred. I appreciate you. Thank you.